that's what we do now today. We still do now. You know,
That's
Easter
great.
time, we get requests for cooking school. We don't do them for 4 days because we bake about 100 cake for charity for Easter. So we close and we bake from morning to the evening. And every year she says, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm too tired. The year
Yes.
after,
That's
at this time, week before, a couple of weeks before Easter, you see, she started to get nervous because she has to get all the 100 of eggs and the flour and everything because we have to bake for them, you know, for the people. So I learned a lot also from it. I learned what I am, I do to her.
It's wonderful. I love talking to you, Chiara, because you remind me. Of course, I have the same relationship with my mother, and she loved to cook. And if and if we didn't, if you didn't eat her food, then it was something that she was
indeed, and
very
also,
depressed about.
oh yeah,
So we had to, you know.
And the kids are the future.
Yes.
So my kids now are around me, around my husband,
Involved
around my
in it.
mother. Grandma, let's do biscuits today. And my mother, you can ask her anything better. She stopped baking, and then we had tons of biscuits for a week. Because she doesn't do always a small quantity, but she does tons. And my kids are happy, and she's happy. And this is in a funny way, they learn to cook. You know, when we make marmalades.
You watch.
Yeah.
That's how I learned to cook.
And also working. I mean, they get dirt from the head to the feet. But they're happy and they enjoy and they learn. No, we also do marmalades. It takes 6 hours to do the marmalades. They chop the skin, they take the seeds away. You know, we are together. I think this is also important.
Well, it'd be nice to have you come here and maybe do a cooking school here in Maryland. But I know we have a wonderful program here in Maryland, and I know, Joe, you've been involved with it, the Farmland to the Table.
Oh, yes.
And I know Maryland's pretty active in that. And it's,
yes, in fact,
can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, last week we had the Virginia Wine Showcase in Chantilly, and I had a couple people that were part of this farm to table, and they were all from the Olney area. And yes, what the whole concept there is bringing fresh food. You know, that's from the from the land, from sources that you know and trust, and so forth. And of course, it's like the Italians. It isn't quantity and just mixing a lot of flavors, but it's getting the most out of what you have, and bringing out the true flavor of whatever it is they're preparing. It's happening here. It's happening. It started in California. They called it the California cuisine years ago in the 70s, and now it's pretty much throughout the country. But this is very much the Mediterranean style because so many of the chefs that are doing it on the West Coast, and I think of Joanne Wire, for example, who is very Mediterranean in her orientation, has been one of the proponents of this concept. But there are others. John Ash, who you may know of, he was also about that 1970 period. Well, it caught on in California and moved east, and now it's everywhere. And so now we do think like the Europeans do, you know. And then wine. Wine is another thing. You know, you bring. So that's why our event, the Virginia Wine and Food Showcase, is so good because we brought the wine and we paired it with the food, and we got some good chefs like Chiara over there and her husband to do a demonstration and merge the two together in a very significant way so that the public could benefit from it. And because it's very important. I think because who was it? There was one chef that I remember meeting along the way while I was writing that book. So that when you bring the two together successfully, wine and food, and you've got that perfect balance, you have reached nirvana. This is perfection. Nirvana. This is it. I mean, there can't be anything more glorious than that moment. And so when you know that, and so I think you have arrived to that level of culinary refinement that I think that we all would love to reach. But it's bringing the two together. And as Julia Child used to say, when you're mixing a wine with your food, don't just throw any bottle of wine in there. Use the same wine that you would drink, because you want a good wine in there, and so that you don't want to contaminate that wonderful flavor that you created with something vinegary or a little off. Use a good wine, not an expensive wine, but a good wine, and so these are the things that Americans are learning, and they're learning them rapidly, and I think it's wonderful. So we are changing significantly. We're being very health conscious. We're being very aware, very aware of the food that we take in, and I think this is a marvelous revolution.
Well, now, Chiara, if people want to come to your school, which of course I want to come this summer, tell us how we get there.
You get to the cooking class. Well, people normally stay all over the Amalfi Coast. We get students that stay in Positano, in Sorrento, in Ravello. Either they stay in a hotel, or last year they stay in villas or flats. So, you know, wherever you want. And then they book. Normally they book in advance. We have reservations sometimes a year in advance.
Wow. So
for, you know, because we have honeymooners. We have wedding anniversary, we have birthday. There's always a reason to celebrate and to be happy, you know, and what better than to be together, you know, cooking, eating. And then we do the wine tasting with Gennaro, so we pair the food and the wine, because he's also, my husband is a sommelier, and he's a cheese taster and olive oil taster. So we give them a lot of information how to analyze the wine, how to recognize an extra virgin olive oil from a fake one, or avoid one rather than the other one. A bit of nice tasting of cheese. So there's a way, and they normally contact us directly through the website.
Okay, and your website, because we're going to, is
www.mamaagata.com.
Okay, so
two A in the middle.
So www.mamaagata.com. And with that, I'm going to say grazie.
Thank you to you. Grazie a te, davvero.
Please tune in for another edition of The Next Word on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock and Wednesdays at 6 o'clock. Thank you for watching. Buenas noches. Good night.